Yo, Pierre, you wanna come out here?
Hey. True Crime Broads with Crystal and Renee.
Like this show and want to make your own? Let me tell you about Anchor. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Now you can even add any song from Spotify directly to your episodes. The possibilities are endless for what you can create, whether it's music analysis, your own radio show, or something the world's never heard before. One of the things I like most about Anchor is they distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today.
Hello, welcome to True Crime Broads. This is Crystal
And Renee.
and we are so happy that you joined us today. We have a very special guest joining us about a case that we have not covered yet. It is an unsolved case out of Georgia. And Renee, would you like to introduce our guest?
Absolutely. We have Hope Harmon with us, the sister of Kasara Brown that was murdered out of Georgia. Tell us about your sister.
My sister, Kasara, she was 24 years old, 8.5 months pregnant. Actually had been having Braxton Hicks that week. So she was pretty much due any day. And she was murdered in Ben Hill County, Georgia. She was at her home. There are so many questions that we have that we just don't know anything really about what happened. All we know is that she was home. She was laying on the couch talking to my mom, and by the time my brother got to her, someone had killed her.
That's horrible.
Horrible.
She looked absolutely beautiful in the pictures we saw of her, visibly pregnant. We will put a picture up on our social media so that everyone knows who we're talking about. Absolutely gorgeous young girl. Was she 23 at the time?
She's 24.
24. Okay. So what was the manner of death, if it's not too upsetting to discuss that? Was she shot?
Yes, gunshot wound.
Okay.
She was intentionally killed. It's no, I made a mistake. Any of those things. She was intentionally killed, and the baby was intentionally killed as well.
So someone broke in. Was there any signs of a break-in?
There's no signs of forcible entry into the home. No, her and my mom were having a casual conversation on the phone because actually it was my niece's birthday, my sister's daughter. It was her birthday. So earlier that day, my mom and my twins and several other people had went to a fun station, a fun place to celebrate my niece's birthday. So my niece just so happened to really, really want to stay with my mom. For whatever reason, she just really wanted to stay with my mom. She would not let my mom leave her. She would not leave my mom's house. She just kept on begging my mom to let her stay. And so my mom finally said, okay, so you can stay with me tonight, no problem. And so my mom said her and my sister were on the phone. From what she knows, my sister was just laying on the couch and they were just talking about their day, talking about a few other things, because like I said, my sister had been having pain all week, Braxton Hicks.
Right.
And so when the phone call dropped, my mom just thought, my sister said, mama, and the phone dropped. So in my mom's mind, my mom is thinking, oh my God, she may be in labor, or,
right.
What has happened? What's going on? Because my sister never said anyone's name. She never did any of those things. And so my mom immediately kind of hung up the phone and started calling her back. And that's when she realized, no, something has to be terribly wrong here. And so she started calling my brother, he went out to my sister's home, and by the time he got there, the police were already there. And he's actually the one that ID'd her body.
That's horrible.
That's horrible.
They killed her in her front yard.
And that your niece is Kasara's a child who's was very small at that time. This was just
40th birthday.
Oh gosh. So how is everyone doing? I know that's kind of a dumb question. Obviously your family is distraught, but do people have hope that this will get solved soon, or how is your family doing right now?
We do have hope that it'll be solved. It's just frustrating. It's just frustrating to know that we live in a world where someone can murder an innocent woman who is visibly pregnant and intentionally kill an unborn child. And no one says anything. No one knows anything. No one saw anything. It's just all of this is very strange to us. And so, I have an advocacy group on Facebook, so I still share a lot of things in there. I'm always trying to talk to the media about Sarah and just really trying to keep the case alive, because, you feel like you're almost fighting. It's like an uphill battle that you're fighting, because in the state of Georgia, while we do have GBI, they covered you can have your agents are covering several counties with several other murder cases at the same time. So you don't have people that are dedicated just to this one case, and that's their only job is to figure this out.
Right.
And so it's just quite frustrating, and they can be pulled at any moment if there's a bigger case going on. And we feel like this is the biggest case to us.
Exactly.
It's just really frustrating. It's a frustrating situation.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It certainly is.
Have police revealed to you or any of your family members the type of gun she was shot with? What information do you know about that? Anything in particular?
No, we know where she was shot. Because those are visible things. So we know where she was shot. We don't know the kind of gun. We continue to be told, because like I said, in the state of Georgia, once the local sheriff or the local police force call the GBI, they take complete control over the case, which the GBI is the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. So they take over at that point. And the local authorities are just kind of like supplemental if they need help. So they haven't told us like information like what kind of gun was used and things like that. And some of the things they tell us, we can't tell you because they don't want us leaking information to the public. But while I understand that in one sense, in another sense, I'm like, tell me something. I need something to go on here. And it's just frustrating.
Man, that's got to be hard. And it's hard because you want to know as much as you can, but they want to, preserve the case and, keep it close to their vest. So it's hard for, they don't want to reveal too much. So I know that's a really hard situation to be in.
Yes,
And
definitely.
I noticed, Hope, that the FBI doubled the reward money from $5,000 to $10,000 earlier this year. Have you heard any input on whether that has brought in more tips and more leads?
No, I haven't heard. They haven't said really much of anything. I haven't talked to our agent since early July at this point. And that was like right when they doubled it. And so I haven't had much communication. Well, not any really communication with her since that time. So I just don't know.
Right. Hopefully that'll help.
I hope so. Because
Hopefully.
I'm like $10,000.
Yeah, hopefully someone will come forward that knows what happened. Renee, you had seen something today. I'll let you tell it about some of the theories.
Yeah, I was reading where investigators had suspected that her death was gang related, and it may have been some type of mistake, being mistakenly killed, or they were trying to send a message. Can you tell us about that?
we personally don't believe that. We understand where the GBI is coming from, and all of that is coming from the boyfriend's affiliation, gang affiliation is what they're trying to tie it to. But my continued question is, if they were targeting him in any way, why? The way they shot her was just so personal. It was almost like it was a crime of passion in some ways. The way they shot her. Some of the gunshot wounds aren't things. If it was just a hit, you would have shot her in the head and left. That's not what they did. So there's so much there's more things to it, that they don't want us to really talk about, but it just wasn't that. And so that's my confusion. If they wanted just to kill her, they would not have intentionally tried to kill the baby as well. And I do not believe, and then other things, like the fact that her boyfriend continued to stay in the same house. If it was gang related, why didn't they come back and go back to that house and do whatever to him? Because he continued to stay there.
Wow.
For a while, actually.
That's crazy. And I had read where your sister was about to be married. Is that true? Can you tell us about that?
No. She was not about to get married.
That's why we ask, because you never know what you read, if it's true or not.
Yeah, no. No.
Okay. That makes more sense now. Do you know if there are any other persons of interest? Are they looking at anybody right now? Have they had anybody that they've been investigating? Did any search warrants on?
I know they said they've questioned a lot of people. And they really can't give us any information on whether someone's a suspect or not. But I know they've questioned a lot of people, and then they continue to question a lot of, a few people as well. And I don't believe in my heart of hearts anybody they questioned they ruled out as a suspect, because I just don't believe it. I believe that if you go back and question people more than one time, it's probably something there.
Right.
Is it true that Kasara's boyfriend is in jail for battering her right now?
Yes, he is in jail for assault. He I'm trying to think, when did that happen? Maybe 2018-ish. He broke her jaw. Broke her. Sarah was 110 pounds soaking wet. He broke her jaw. Sarah was in a terribly abusive relationship. We knew about her being assaulted. We knew about him breaking her jaw. We didn't have any choice but to know about that, because she had to go to the hospital. She had to have her mouth wired. So those are things that somebody has to know about. And unfortunately, my mom was present when that happened as well. So my mom was there. My mom saw it with her own. I saw the whole incident take place, but I personally didn't learn about the level of abuse that she was experiencing until we were in court and the DA read her diary entries, and the sheer level of abuse that she was going through, and to not know that, I just knew she looked tired a lot, and I knew she looked sad a lot, but I just didn't know how abusive he was to her, how manipulative he was. And so he did receive 21 years for aggravated assault and also cruelty to children, because my niece was present. To this day, even though my niece was 4 years old when my sister was murdered, my niece will be 6 in the next few weeks. She still remembers having to hide because her daddy would be hitting her mom. Having to run because her dad was hitting her mom. So those are the types of things that, and even him, being in court and openly saying in a courtroom, well, she dead, so the charges ought to be dead.
Oh my gosh.
So, that's the level of just abuse and manipulation and just sheer disregard
He said that?
Yes, I was not present because if I probably would not have been allowed ever back in the courtroom had I been present when he said that, I'm sure.
Right.
Me or any of my brothers probably. But I wasn't present when he said that, but from my understanding from someone that was in court when he said it just as openly and it's just as loud to his attorney that she was dead, so the charges ought to be dead, and that is his continued belief is that she's dead, so he shouldn't be in jail.
That was the case, we wouldn't have a lot of people in prison right now.
I mean,
exactly.
With that logic, that just shows you the kind of person he is. That's horrible.
That is horrible.
Yeah, it was just terrible knowing that she was going through something like that, and that's just not knowing. It just shows how much she loved him, and unfortunately he did not love her, because nobody that loves you could ever do that to you.
Right. And like a lot of battered women, she probably just kept hoping he would change, and she was ashamed, and you don't want to tell your family and friends about that stuff because it's humiliating. So God bless her. I hate that she went through all this. So hopefully there will be justice for Kasara and her daughter and all of you. So where do they update you? I know you said it's been since early July that you talked to the investigator with GBI. What about the FBI? They were the ones that doubled the reward. Have you had any interaction with the FBI or just GBI?
No, unfortunately, I haven't had any direct contact with the FBI. They tell me, and I don't know how true this is, I haven't done all my research yet, that we as a family can't request the FBI come in, that the GBI themselves have to request for the FBI to step in. Okay. And so we haven't been able to, have any communication with them, but our GBI agent is the one that requested the reward from the FBI, and we were thankful that they did do the 10,000, because I think they typically do around 5. Mm-hmm. So we were thankful that they did do the 10,000.
Okay, that's good. So, I mean, is it safe to assume, and if this isn't supposed to be public information, that's fine, just shut me down, but is it safe to assume that law enforcement is looking at the boyfriend for this crime, for the murder? If that can't be said publicly, we understand. We'll just let that go.
In the words of the DA, the DA pretty much has consistently said that nobody has been ruled out as a suspect.
Okay.
So that's just not, everybody, anybody they ever questioned,
right,
they're still gonna question them again and still go back to those same people. So
right.
We can't flat out say that he's the only one, and I can't say that yes or no to it, but I can say that they are, if they question them once, they're still looking at them.
Okay.
Did you say earlier that there was forced entry, or there was not? There was
no forced entry.
Okay, so it had to be somebody that she knew, because she was there by herself, correct?
She was there by herself. It had to be someone that not only she knew, the dogs knew as well, because the dogs, my mama said that's one thing she remembers, the dogs weren't barking.
Oh, that's an excellent point.
Wow. Because whoever it was came in the back door, because she lived our county has like 16,000 people, so we're small, right? So she lived like in the country, and there's no lighting out there hardly. I mean, none at all, really. And so we really believe they came in maybe the back door and surprised her, because I think as she saw or heard anyone coming in that door, she probably would have got up and ran before then. But it almost seems like maybe they came in the back door, it started, or she ran out the front door and was able to get into a truck that was sitting outside, because her boyfriend had taken her car earlier that night, and he had left his truck there. So she ran into outside, and I think she was trying to just think, probably in a panic, you 8.5 months pregnant, how you know. And so they thinking she got in the truck, maybe, I don't know why. And that's where they killed her, was outside.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
Where is I read that she lived in Fitzgerald, Georgia. Where is that close to, so our listeners will kind of know where this happened at?
Fitzgerald we are 2.5 hours south of Atlanta. So we're in South Georgia.
Okay.
A lot of people may know, like, closer to Tifton or Valdosta, because those two places are off of 75, which is the main interstate in Georgia. But yeah, we're really, really small, South Georgia.
I've never heard of that city, but I do have family that lives in Atlanta and then some other areas down towards Columbus. So I kind of wanted to figure out exactly where it was so our listeners would know, because we have people that listen, all over the U.S., but I'm sure we have quite a few people that listen from Georgia. So.
We're like 2 hours from Columbus as well. Like, so we're kind of, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hope, are you familiar with a lady? She's on Nancy Grace a lot. Her name is Cheryl McCollum.
No.
Okay, she is she works as an investigator in Atlanta, and she also runs the Cold Case Investigative Research Institute there in Atlanta. I was just curious if you had connected with her yet. Well, we're going to tell her about your case, if that's okay, and see if she's heard of it. And she's a fantastic investigator, and she's right there in Georgia. Maybe she can shed some light on this. She's been doing police work for many years. She actually worked with Nancy Grace back when Nancy was the DA and in that area. So they've known each other for decades. And now Cheryl is just a guest on Nancy Grace sometimes because they've known each other so long and worked together. So we'll definitely talk to Cheryl McCollum about your case. And
okay.
You will love her. She's fantastic. Wonderful. Yeah,
maybe,
she really is.
Maybe we can all get together and do another episode with Cheryl on it. Or we'll get you connected with her somehow.
Okay.
But yeah, this is just a horrible case. This poor young lady who was pregnant, gunned down at her own home. It's just outrageous and unbelievable.
It really is. It's so sad. I just don't understand.
No, it's hard is an understatement.
Right.
I'm actually a county commissioner here. I'm elected. Oh. And so many times I've thought about, I do a lot of different community work. I do a lot of different fundraising and do a lot of giveaways. We do a lot of different stuff. And so it's so hard sometimes, because I always think about sometimes, am I helping someone that can know who killed my sister and not say anything?
Right. Right.
And I think that's the hardest part, because we've lived here. We've lived here my whole life. Mm-hmm. This is where my mom grew up, my dad grew up, all of our families. And we know everybody pretty much. Right. And so for something like this to happen and it be going on 2 years and nobody says anything, nobody knows anything, it's heartbreaking just to think about. And because Sarah was one of those people that when her smile would light up the whole room, and she just was the sweetest person. And you just think, why? And I think that's one of the things I just really want to see in the court and be able to ask why.
Right.
Why her of all people?
Right. And what were you trying to accomplish? I mean,
right. What was the goal here? Because it just doesn't make any sense to me. Someone who doesn't bother anyone, someone who all she did was work and take care of her children. She would talk to my mom all the time, because her plan was, after she had Aviana, that she was gonna go back to school. She wanted to go back to school for nursing. So my mom had decided she was gonna stay home so she could keep the girls for her, so she could go back to school.
Right.
Because she wanted to be a nurse.
Oh,
and so my mama had kind of worked it out, how they were gonna make this thing work for 1.5 years while she went back to school. And she just had all these plans and all these hopes and dreams, and someone just came in and snatched it from her.
Exactly.
For no reason.
Yep. I know you mentioned that you wanted to, you were hoping that somebody would come forward and, give information that they know. And, with us researching different cases and doing the things that we've done, we hear this story a lot that either number one, people are afraid to come forward. So you need to consistently, and this is just my opinion, consistently let people know that they can, tell what they know anonymously, just constantly say that because people don't always know that that's a possibility. And number two, and I think, Crystal, you're good at remembering this. I think it was Christine Menina that said this, that people would come forward with information and they would say, you were talked to by the police at one point. Why did you not tell them this? And they said they never asked. So
right.
People don't ever get asked the question, or they're never talked to. People think, oh, well, that couldn't have been them, or they didn't have anything to do with it, but they never really were talked to.
That's right. We did an episode with Christine Menina. She's a top investigator from Indianapolis PD. And she said she would be interviewing somebody and they would be in a 3-hour conversation. And all of a sudden they would give her the information that she was looking for. And she said to them, hey, why didn't you tell me that 3 hours ago? And the guy said, you never asked. So I think, sometimes like Renee was saying, it's, hopefully people are asking the right questions. And it's just kind of interesting how people also won't come forward. If there's a single mom at home with 4 kids, she may not have the bandwidth to be able to drive up to the police station. But if you knock on her door, she might tell you something, and
exactly.
There's just so many people out there that might be hesitant to come forward because they're afraid they might get in trouble. Do you think, Hope, that there's do you think it's actually anything to do with a gang, or do you think that that's just a theory? Do you really think that could be possible?
No, I think it's a theory.
Okay.
I think it's a theory myself, because it's just too random.
Yeah.
It's too random. And I think, once again, if they were trying to send some sort of message, I don't think I would stay in that house again.
Right.
I don't think I would ever drive my truck
Exactly.
again that she
Right.
was killed in. I don't think I would do any of those things,
Right.
But like, as I said, her boyfriend continued to stay in the house.
Mm-hmm.
He continued to drive the truck. He continued to do anything he wanted to do, make videos, being in clubs, travel, do everything he wanted to do. So if there was a real gang fear there, I would think he would be the one fearful for his life.
Right.
But
Yeah.
in my opinion,
I was trying to think that maybe if a gang was involved, maybe that was why people feared coming forward, because they feared retaliation. But I agree with you. That's just it probably is just a theory, maybe, and sometimes, police, law enforcement will do that. They don't want something public. They'll just kind of talk about all kinds of different theories. So
Something else, we hear this a lot too, that a lot of cases are solved by somebody talking in prison and in jails. The mere fact that he is in jail, man, that's huge. Y'all need
Right.
to see if you can get with Crime Stoppers, because we, as you probably know, we cover the Missy Beavers case and have since we started our podcast. There hasn't been a lot going on with it, so we've kind of started covering some other cases until things start happening. But we were able to get a billboard up with the help of Crime Stoppers, and then of course do some of these cards. They're playing cards, and what they do is they put the case on the back of the cards, and then they put the reward money on there, and then they distribute it in the jails so that maybe this person is in jail and he's trying to get something off his chest, or he kind of just throws out a little comment, oh yeah, I did blah blah blah. And people hear it, and then they see these cards, and they're like, I can, anonymously turn in this tip and get the reward money, and this happens. So you might want to see if you can't get with Crime Stoppers in your area and see if you can't get this done, because, they want to help solve these crimes. Of course, that's what they do. And then they may be able to get these cards approved and get them distributed. And maybe somebody there has a tip that can get called in because of those.
Yeah, because when the prisoners are playing poker or whatever they play, they're seeing the case information on the other side of the cards. It's been really helpful in some jurisdictions, and we're hoping it'll be helpful in Missy's case. But that's a really good idea, Renee. That would be perfect for Kasara's case.
Yeah,
I'm writing all this stuff down, like, so I can make sure I like get on top of this first thing tomorrow.
Yes,
probably tonight, honestly.
Yeah, find out who the Crime Stoppers person is that runs Crime Stoppers in your area, and they funded this. They paid for the playing cards and had them printed. We have pictures of them on our Instagram. Hoping we'll send you a picture of them so you don't have to go digging for it.
Okay.
It's just been really, really a cool thing that I would have never thought of. Just really neat.
It's been very beneficial in years past with law enforcement using these cards to get cases solved, because they said so often that's where the tips come from, is the jail, because I guess the guys or women, whatever, are in jail and they're talking and, sharing stuff, and then somebody overhears it. And if they know they can anonymously turn it in and get that money, I mean, heck yeah, they're going to do it,
Right. And like Renee said, that's the key, is especially people in jail or people that are maybe breaking the law themselves at the time. It is so important to get the message across to them that they can be 100% anonymous. Nobody will ever know where that tip came from. And that's just so important when people are fearful, but there might be somebody out there right now that has the information to solve Kasara's case, but they're too scared to come forward. And
have you found that the billboards have been, because that's one of the things we've been thinking about, is a billboard. And I've been thinking a lot about doing, like, how people do like the yard signs for campaigns.
Yes.
I've been thinking about doing some with like Sarah's picture on them and saying like $10,000 reward and justice for Kasara, and maybe putting an anonymous line number on those too, and just trying to get them out like across the state, really.
You definitely work with Crime Stoppers on both of those things, because they can, I mean, I don't know how much money they have to work with, but in our county, they were able to contribute to both the billboard and the playing cards. And so that was super helpful in us, because we had to do, like a GoFundMe, and our listeners were so awesome and contributed the money that we needed, minus what Crime Stoppers did to help in those things. And we still have the billboard. We've had it for a little over a year now.
Yes.
And then I think it'll be a year in October. And then the cards were just distributed not long ago, but they paid for those. So you might, like I said, we've already said this, but just be sure and get with them, because they will have, some sort of money set aside for different things in your county to contribute in some way. And not only that, but they can put their, like in Ellis County, they have I think it's called P3 app. And there's an app that you can actually go to and still anonymously send in a tip. And it gives you like a code. And I don't know exactly how it works. Obviously, I haven't ever done it, but there's a way that they can do it through an app as well. And they can actually put the app on the billboard or on the cards. And that gives the person, the ability to be able to do those things still anonymously in a different way or fashion, whatever, something easier,
Yeah. And I'm thinking, since our Ellis County Crime Stoppers has that app, I bet yours does too. That might be kind of a Crime Stoppers nationwide thing, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be fantastic, because really and truly I'm always so scared that in our case, and obviously in your case and any of these cases, that there's going to be somebody that's got the answers, but they're just terrified to tell it. And that really helps. That takes care of it. Because if they can call it in. There's so many different ways, especially through the app, that you can give a tip and never reveal who you are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's so important, I think.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, we'll keep brainstorming and coming up with things. But that was another thing, Renee, that Christine Menino told us about initially, was that, she said that's the first thing she does when she's working a crime scene is you go to the jails, talk to people, see what you can find out. And then she mentioned the playing cards. And with him and with one of their suspects actually being in jail, like you said, Renee, that's huge.
Yeah, that's really going to be helpful, because I mean, like I said, for whatever reason, they do a lot of talking, and then people are listening. These guys are in jail. They're like, heck yeah, I want that money. So they're going to be listening, and they're going to cough up that information, because they're going to be able to get that money. So
that would be ideal.
That would be truly ideal, and that would be something definitely I can definitely work on that, and even just talking to our local DA and talking to someone at like the Georgia Department of Corrections to see if there's something that we can get done, because I think that's a great idea, because I mean they have playing cards, why not?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah. And we'll send you pictures of that stuff, and
Okay.
and we'll definitely, and please stay in touch with us. And if you have any questions or anything that we can help with, we would love to, any just brainstorming or anything. And also we will put anything you want to on our social media. If you have anything you want to send us, we're going to do a social media blast about this episode and about Kasara. So if you have anything in particular you want us to post, please send it to us. We're happy to. And I will get you in touch with Cheryl McCollum, the cold case investigator. She's fantastic, and maybe she'll have some good ideas for us.
Yeah, she's amazing. You're going to love her.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank y'all so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Hope.
You're welcome. Is there anything else that you'd like us to know about your sister, or anything before we go?
I think I just want people to know that Kasara was a good person. All she wanted to do was raise her girls, be able to provide for them, and have a good life. And unfortunately, she only made it to 24 years old when she had so much life to live. And if anyone who is listening knows anything, or even the slightest thing, could really break the case wide open. So please, the GBI has an anonymous line. You can go on their website. You can do an anonymous tip through their website, and it is all anonymous. We just want to know what happened to Kasara, and we just want to know why, and that's all.
Right.
Well,
do you happen to have the number? Sorry, Crystal.
No, go ahead.
Do you happen to have the number that people can call for any tips they want to turn in, or any questions or anything concerning about the case?
I usually do have the number.
Sorry, I didn't think to ask you beforehand. It popped in my head, but I'm looking for it. I don't see it either. I'm sure they can get it off the website.
What the GBI tip line is 800-597-8477.
Perfect.
And
fantastic. That's good.
It's just a GBI tip line. So if anybody knows anything, you can just call them. And that also on their site, gbi.georgia.gov, you can submit online tips. And you know what? Even though it says name required, I just, you can put John Doe for all I care. Right. I just want, that you don't have to put your real name. They're not going to check it. We just want the information. That's all we're concerned about.
Right. Get this solved. Well, Hope, thank you so much for spending some time with us this evening. It was a pleasure getting to know you. And we just want to express our sincerest condolences to you and your family. And we will look forward to talking to you again soon. And we will follow up after this program and be in touch with you this week.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank y'all again. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yo, Pierre, you wanna come out here?
Hey. Straight up the black, 12 on the clock, I paying cash, you do the math, I bust the bag, you took the tab, how could you fast, you at the gas, money nest status in my crew, everywhere we go, we dripping like we fools, everywhere we go, we dripping till we cool.
goes back.
Skirt off the block, 12 on the clock. I pay in cash, you do the math. I bust the bag, you take the tab. My cut you fast, you at a gas. Skirt off the block, 12 on the clock. I pay in cash, you do the math. I bust the bag, you take the tab. My cut you fast, you at a gas.